Welcome to the RVA Returners Podcast, your weekly source for all things Final Fantasy TCG.
Dude, I just don't know if I really want to play a Turks deck. I just hope that they get enough pieces. I hope it's not like Sky Pirates 2.0 where you're like, here's one Rude, here's one Reno, here's one, what's his nuts, Shinra.
Yeah, Rufus. I have a feeling that's kind of what it's going to be at first, at least. Maybe it's like Scions, though. Who knows?
No, I hope so, man. I hope so. But I'm really, really excited about my man Gladio. But we'll get to that. What it's time to do, Adam, it's time to start the next episode of the RVA Returners Podcast. Boys, we are back. Welcome. I'm your host, Chris Adams. With me, as always, is Adam Lane. Adam, say hi to everybody.
Hey.
Hey, yeah, you're just as tired as I am this morning, man. We had a long day of cards yesterday, a fun day of cards yesterday, and we'll talk about that event here in a little bit. But we got a lot to cover today. There's spoiler season is in full effect, but again, we'll cover that. And Adam, do you know where we're going to cover all these hot topics and all these hot new spoilers?
I never know, man.
I never know, man. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. It's the news. Yeah, so as far as spoilers go, we got we were just bombarded with Opus 8 spoilers. What was it, Thursday or Wednesday night, something like that?
Yeah, whenever that magazine dropped, we got a lot of stuff. So
yeah, let's go down the line, man. Some of these things are really, really exciting.
So I'm gonna start with the first one, and then I'm pretty sure I'm gonna mispronounce it because I don't really play Crystal Chronicles. Very Verruld. I don't know. It's like remoulade sauce, but with a V. I don't know.
Is this one a bird or a tree?
It's probably a bird, but I'm gonna call it a tree.
Yeah, it looks like a duck, walks like a duck. It's probably a remoulade sauce.
So a lot of these are heroics actually, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course he's a Crystal Chronicles. He's a 4CP AK forward. Is that right?
Oh no, he's a 5K.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, this is written down wrong. Okay, yeah, I thought he was undercurve. I'll have to change this. But yeah, when he's put from the field into the break zone, choose a wind monster of cost 4 or less in your break zone and play it onto the field.
Seems okay. I mean, I think he's good in like the mono wind Crystal Chronicles because you can get those Layax back and stuff like that. Maybe like decks with like Zoo and all that crazy stuff in it. So maybe.
I'm not a huge fan just because one, it's only wind. If it was any color, I think he'd be good.
No, for sure.
But because it's only wind. He's kind of limited in what he can get, and to get his full value, you got to be playing like Condor. And while I like the idea of Condor, it's just it's a dream that you're never gonna live, really. And if you do get to live it, you're already beating your opponent down so bad that like you're already gonna win the game. So
you're saying this card's like Theodore?
I mean, maybe not that bad because there are other options to bring back, like you said, Layak. But like that's not really like getting full. Like I can play Urion J and get Layak back, right? I don't even have to play this guy. So like, I mean, yeah, unless they print on some more wind high costed monsters that are good, I don't like him right now. But he's again he's got an ability that you could always come back to.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving down the line.
Yeah, so then next, I know you're pretty excited about this one.
Oh, you have no idea.
Yeah, it's the new Laswell. So, Brave Exvius, he's Ice 4, CP, AK, Job Knight. When he enters the field or attacks, choose a forward. If it has received damage, dull and freeze it. For 1 fire, choose a forward, deal 1,000 damage. And then he has a special Azure Sky for S, Fire, Ice, and Dull. Choose 2 forwards, deal it AK to the first, and dull and freeze the other.
Dude, I think this card is fantastic, and I'm going to tell you a couple reasons why. One, obviously, Fire Ice is back, Old Reliable is back, and the fact that this guy can just, you can pay 5 to pretty much turn him into a Genesis when he enters the field, because you can just pay his 4 and then the 1 fire. But I think, we were talking about it on the trip down yesterday. He has so many more applications outside of Fire Ice. Obviously, Ice X is where he's going to be, but like this guy in like Wind Ice with like Cactuars. Like just anything that allows him to ping or like again Ice Wind playing this like playing a Chalinka then going right into this guy, like there's all kinds of really wild applications for this card. Like just pretend the special isn't there because I don't think that's something you're going to use often, but this guy is just going to be able to do so much for so little. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I don't think the S is that great. I mean, it's good if you can get it off, I guess, But I don't think you're running 6 Laswells in the decks that we're talking about. It's probably just 3 of this guy, which means you might get to do it. But yeah, like I think people are just looking at him straight in Fire Ice, and I think he could be really good in Wind Ice too. Just through the other ping, you just kind of ignore his last 2 abilities if you play him in that deck. Being able to attack and Genesis something every turn is pretty good.
It's huge. Yeah, I think this card is excellent, like absolutely excellent. And I can't wait to. I know me and Ron are both excited to start brewing with this guy for sure.
Yeah, I think he's going to see some play for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, then next up is a card that we talked about last time. You just didn't know what the card was at the time.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, and that's Gladio. He's a 4 CP 9K. Earth forward. You can only pay Earth CP to play him. If you control Noctis, his cost is reduced by 2. And then he has an S for S, Earth, and then 2 colorless and dull. Deal 7K to all forwards opponent controls.
I think this card's really good. It's not quite what we wanted it to be or what we kind of predicted it was going to be, but I'll take a 2 CP 9K any day of the week.
Yeah, I think he's just solid. I think if you're playing Noctis and you have room for him, it's probably just going to be fine.
Yeah.
Again, his S is expensive, but it's pretty decent for what it does.
Yeah, I mean, 7K is a sweet spot right now. So, I mean, there's a lot he could kill.
For sure, yeah. I mean, but Rydia also hits that number, and she doesn't see much play. But I guess she does damage all the forwards that aren't Earth, so, like, it's not as good, but it's also cheaper.
Yep.
But, yeah, I mean, like, obviously, if Noxus is any play, like, you're playing this guy, you probably have an Anthem, so he's probably like a 2CP 10K.
Yeah.
And if you want to get crazy, play Ingus, he's a 2CP 11K. But
yeah, like you just keep singing like these wonderful tunes in my ear. I think this card's good. He's not lighting the world on fire, but he's a real solid body that I think he will see play in like mono Earth builds.
I think he probably will too, and I think it's really important to be big and be a 4 CP right now.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
So I think that's actually pretty important, and the fact that he can be reduced is pretty crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, and then next is the new Marsh, which we had seen the art for a while back.
Yeah, I think they spoiled it. What, Nats? I think.
Worlds.
No, not even Worlds.
Yeah,
Worlds. Yeah.
But he's a Tactics Advanced Forward, EX Burst, 4 CP 5K. When he enters the field, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Add 1 fire card among them to your hand. Put the rest on the bottom. I really like this card.
I do too.
I think he's gonna get you some pretty good value. He's almost always gonna hit. Like it's an element off the top, not like a specific job like a lot of the other ones are, or like a specific card type.
Yep.
So like if you're playing mono fire, he can't whiff. He's also searchable by another EX burst, which is pretty good. So maybe that'll see Mont Blanc will see some play.
Yep.
I mean, for me, I'm thinking like maybe Ice Earth or Ice Fire Moogles might be decent with this. And to get your fire cards that you need, and then your backups are kind of all tutorable. So,
yeah, being able to and obviously you're using the other Hurdy, but being able to go like Hurdy, Mont Blanc, Marsh into whatever off the top seems like a pretty good value train there.
Yep.
Yeah, I like it. I like it as well, man. I can't wait to see what people do with it. It's good. There's really no downside to that card other than that it's a 5K, but you can't have it all.
Yeah, I think where he's at it, power level wise, is fine. If he was bigger than that, it might be really, really dumb. Because the fact that he's a burst is a big deal. Like he's a burst, so.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like he's a burst and he has a searcher that's a burst. So theoretically, you could hit either one of those, and you're gonna net like 2 cards. So
the math is there.
Yeah. So the next one is Diana. She's a Final Fantasy Legends character, Job Warrior of Darkness, which seems to be like a theme in the set, or it's gonna be. When she enters the field, choose a category Legends forward other than card named Diana in your break zone, add it to your hand. So that means she could basically be a 1 CP. And then Dole, choose a 1 category Legends forward other than Diana you control. It gains plus 2,000 power until end of turn.
Well, this is another card we kind of predicted. Like we said, it is another Al Cid target, but I don't think it does. It doesn't do anything for that card, obviously. I think she's kind of bland, but I really think her effectiveness is going to be based on just how good this Warrior of Darkness or more Legends stuff comes down the pipe. Like I think if she can start recurring some of these like powerful forwards, like the fact that she can right now get like an Aegis or a Soul back seems pretty good.
Yeah,
but
I don't think that's really going to synergize with her that well. I think
That's what I'm saying.
there has to be
Yeah.
some other deck that comes out of this.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah,
So
because
maybe I'll put a pin in her for now.
yeah, because with what we've seen so far, I don't think she sees play. She's also probably the least favorite of these spoilers that I've seen. Just because, not that she's bad, she's just really bland to me.
Yeah, yeah. She is the Gerber graduates of this little crop of spoilers.
Yeah, and then the last card of the first set of spoilers is Aiko. So she's a 5 CP water forward, 4,000 power job summoner. When she enters the field, you may search your deck for one summon, add it to your hand, and then when she's put from the field to the break zone, draw a card.
I think the card's fine. I think she's a little pricey for what she does, but she's going to net you a card, and then when she dies, she's like, it's just one of those things that you could play her, search for a Famfrit, play the Famfrit, draw a card.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I think
the
the
big
biggest, I think the biggest thing for me is that the summon is not color restricted at all.
Yeah, which is huge.
So you could play like some pretty cool summon deck and get your big off-color summon and play it. Maybe you play her alongside the old Garnet Legendary and get like an off-color summon that you want and then cast it with Garnet. I mean, she could do a lot of cool things, I think. And not being color restricted, it definitely makes it a lot more like open to doing some pretty crazy stuff. I think she's pretty fairly costed, to be honest.
Yeah,
she's a
for
body that gets you a really good card. And then she's gonna block something and draw a card. So
yeah, so she's essentially a 1 CP when you or what 1 3
yeah.
3. Yeah, she's a 1 CP. Yeah, I can do the math. I'm so exhausted today.
As long as she dies and hits the break zone, she's essentially a 1 CP. It's just delayed.
Yeah.
The only thing, I mean, and I guess if you want to play Braska, like you can make this a 4 CP. Maybe that deck becomes a thing. I don't see it yet, but.
But I think that's a good piece for something like that for sure. I think there's a lot of upside there.
For sure. And then the next set of spoilers we got were not from the poster, but from the magazine itself.
Yeah.
And
I know the text thankfully has been spoiled, and this is a little bit of everything. We're seeing our first legendary in this group as well.
Yeah, and he's actually the first card. So
nice.
It's Noct. He's not Noctis. It's just Noct. He's a Earth 4 CP AK Job Warrior of Darkness. So there's that theme again. If you control another Job Warrior of Darkness other than Noct, he gains 1,000 power and Brave. And then for XX, choose a forward or monster. If it costs X, break it. You can only use this ability during your turn and only once per turn. And then S, Earth, choose one forward, deal it 8,000 damage.
Yep, I think this card's really good. I really like the fact that they're using this, and I knew it was a matter of time before they did a something like this. That type of ability, the double X cost ability, that's something that's very reminiscent of Magic the Gathering. Like the first cards that come to mind are like, Chalice of the Void is the first one that immediately comes to mind, and the fact that and I'm pretty sure you can pay 0.
I think you can to
target something like pop a Lua shield. I'll pay 0, target a Lua, fizzle her shield, then I'll kill her, something like that.
Yeah, and I mean that's definitely worth it. I do think it is a bit pricey. I mean, you're gonna pay 4 to kill a 2 CP. You're gonna pay 8 to kill a 4 CP. The most use I see getting out of this ability is nullifying a Lua shield for free, and maybe breaking monsters like Cactuar and Leyak.
Yep. I will 100% pay 2 to break Cactuar, or pay 4 to break both of them. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. But you can only do one per turn, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like you just pop 2, boom, pay 2, boom, it's dead. And also too, coming down the home stretch of the game, if you just need a mana dump at the end, like you're pushing for game. All right, I'll pay 6, break your Y'shtola or whatever.
Yeah. And he can theoretically do it the turn he comes out, but that's gonna you're gonna pay a lot of CP. But if it wins you the game, it wins you the game.
Yeah, and honestly, Earth doesn't generate that kind of card advantage, so maybe I could see him in like some sort of Earth X deck, like Earth Water. Where you're just using Layla Viking to draw a lot of cards. You play this guy, and you still got like 6 cards in your hand. You're like, all right, well, I'll break this thing and then push through with the rest of your guys. I think the card has a lot of upside.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've seen the Warrior of Darkness in 2 colors now, so maybe that's the 2 colors, or maybe it's going to be like Opus 5, where they're going to be across like every color.
That would be pretty neat. Pretty neat.
Well, actually, no, there was a Warrior of Light and Earth, but there wasn't one in Lightning, so maybe we'll get a Ice Warrior of Darkness. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I don't know. I'm not familiar with these characters really, so.
Yeah, I know it was a mobile game if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was, but I heard it's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, then the next card is New Palom, but it's Ice. 2 CP 5K. When it enters the field, choose one of the following three. All players discard one card, choose one forward freeze, and then dole all backups opponent controls.
I'm a fan of this card. It's nice to see the twins outside of their normal elements. I think there's some neat utility here, like the fact that he's a 2 CP, so you can play him off of Phoenix, and it becomes a neat little combat trick. You Phoenix him in and dole all their backups, so they don't really have access to any of their combat tricks at that point, or they have to like play their cards right then and there. Freezing a forward could be good. Maybe the discard is fine. Like you can start. I was jokingly saying, all right, you play Laguna, put the search on the stack. Devout in Palom. You're playing Turbo again. Yay!
Yeah, with Devout, though.
Yeah, it seems real bad. I think the card's fine. I don't really know in what capacity it's going to see play, but I think it's tricky.
Yeah, I want to like it, but the more I think about it, like, it's just, I don't know. I think it's pretty decent, yeah. I think it's pretty decent. I think it would be better if it was a bigger body on a 4K, because it would be like a better Devout target.
Yeah.
But because I think they did that on purpose. I think that's pretty smart, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty cool in like you said, like a Phoenix deck, where you can just play this on the field at instant speed.
Yep.
And force a response out of your opponent. So maybe it's good there.
But,
yeah. Maybe it's good in like that WAF deck,
Yeah, maybe I can see that. Just kind of shut down and just starve them from resources. Yeah, that could be fine. Could be absolutely be fine.
Yep. Then the next forward is Xenos. I was pretty excited when they showed the art for this. So he's a fire 4 CP 8K. If your opponent controls a job Warrior of Light, he gains plus 2,000 power, haste, and brave. And then when he deals damage to your opponent, choose a forward opponent controls, deal at 5,000 damage.
Now, I'll preface this by that. I've seen some translations say Warrior of Light, and I've seen some say Scion.
I've heard that the original translation of Scion, people couldn't really make out what the job was, and so that's what they went with. That's what I've heard.
Okay.
I think people seem to be pretty solid that it's Warrior of Light, which I think is for the better. And
sure.
I think that's going to cover more stuff, because I mean, even Scion decks are running Wool, right? So
absolutely. So it's a great way to it's just some good counterplay to that extremely powerful card.
Yeah, but I mean, the flavor wise, it would make sense if it was either. So
sure, absolutely. But yeah, I think that card's good. I think that's a good fire card. I don't know, I don't know if you run a full play set of those, or it's maybe like a one or two of you.
I think he's pretty medium. I mean, I think if Warrior of Light is like everywhere, if everybody's running like a Warrior of Light, which is, it's probably like what 75-25 right now. If you have like at least one Warrior of Light in your deck, you might have one.
Yeah.
At least one. I mean, and then you got some people are running like all of them, like kind of what I played yesterday. But and he's gonna be really good against those because he's gonna be a 10K with haste and brave.
Yeah. That seems okay to me.
Yeah, and then when he deals damage, it's kind of similar to Celis, right? It's pretty much the same thing, except it's not required to be dull. But he does have to target just like Celis, so.
Yeah, but I think that could be cute with like the Min 7 War Mech or whatever.
Yeah, you could buff his damage up to 7. Yep.
Yeah.
You could do some other stuff too.
Yeah, I think there's some neat tricks with this card. I think it's a good card. I think it's good.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be tricky, but maybe he fits in like a deck as like a 1 of or 2 of. I have some ideas for him, but nothing that's not really super gimmicky right now. So. Yeah.
For sure. So things that are incredibly fair.
Yeah. And then next was actually a pretty exciting card, not because of what he does, but because of what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's Rude. He's a Lightning 2 CP backup, Job Turks.
Yeah.
So that's the first Turk that we've seen in this version of the game. Dole, choose one card named Rufus or Job Turks you control until end of turn, against 1,000 power. So that's already pretty good for 2 CP backup, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And then he has an S. It's mighty expensive. So it's S, triple Lightning, and 4 colorless, and Dole. Deal 8,000 damage to all active forwards you control, or your opponent. Wait.
No, just
all active forwards. So sorry, it doesn't even care that if it's yours. And then you can only use this ability if you control card named Reno.
I don't really think you're ever going to be using that S, but I think the fact that it's a 2 CP backup that threatens a buff to one of your guys, I think it's really good.
Yeah, I mean, if Turks are good, right, this is going to be a pretty decent turn 1 play. If another Turk counts all Turks on the field, he's going to count toward that, and he's cheap for doing it. So, I mean, Cryo's good. She doesn't do anything.
Exactly.
So I mean, she does do something, but really,
She's just there because she's a Scion, 100%.
yeah. And yeah, maybe the S comes into play at some point, but I really doubt it. Like
Yeah,
that's
that's a lot.
expensive, and it's not opponents. At least if I'm reading this right, it's not opponents. So
Yeah.
I
And that
hope
could be
it's
tough.
opponents. For 7 CP, I would hope it's only opponents.
Yeah.
But
But
maybe
I don't
not.
know. I hope they get a lot of support in this set because I definitely want to play a Turks deck just to see if they have some really neat. Just you know me, man. I'm a sucker for tribal synergies, and I think if they can get enough support in this set, it might be something worth exploring.
Oh, I mean, if it's 7 tribal, I'm sold. If it's good, like if it's good, I'm gonna play it.
Hmm. I hear that.
Yeah, and then the next card is a new Archangel MR. It's another 11 wind card.
Hmm.
2 CP, 3K. When Archangel MR cannot be blocked by forwards of 7,000 power or more. And then for double wind, till end of turn, Archangel MR cannot be targeted by your opponent's summons or abilities.
I think the card's pretty neat. I don't really know where. I mean, I guess this could be one that you maybe you played and win, but like I feel like if you're playing this card, you're almost just better off playing Adele, or maybe they can coexist. I don't know.
Yeah,
It is category 11, so I think maybe you could squeeze one into Wind Earth.
I doubt it. It just doesn't. It's not on theme with what they're trying to do.
Hmm.
I mean, it's searchable, but like you said, I think Adele might just be better. It's less conditional on like what can block it, but
Yeah.
more susceptible to stuff. But if
Hmm.
you're trying to make this thing immune, it's basically going to be a 4 CP 3K anyways. And then
Yep.
3K is just a bad number to be at. Like it's just that power level is hit by one single Valifor. Like that's bad.
Yep.
So
Yeah, because with Valifor, you're not even targeting, so it doesn't
nope.
even matter. You're just like dead.
Yep, doesn't matter at all. It just
Yep.
one Valifor kills this thing no matter what. Unless you're
Yep.
running Maria.
Yeah, then at that point, I feel like you're dedicating too much to this card.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe in some capacity you'll see play because, like you said, it is tutorable.
Hmm.
I don't see it right now. I don't think it's a bad card, and I think what it does
Sure.
is kind of cool. But I just think where the meta is currently, the numbers this lines up too well with like everything that's bad for it. So
Yep. Yeah,
And then-
we'll see.
yeah. And then the last set of these spoilers, which is probably the one I'm the most excited about, is the Water Ninja forward from Tactics Advance. He's
Austin Archer, listen up. We got 5-color ninjas. They're back.
He's a 3 CP 5K, so he's a little undercurve.
Sure.
But for Water and Dole, just Water and Dole, put him in the break zone, choose a forward opponent controls, activate it, and gain control of it until end of turn.
Yeah, seems pretty good. Granted, no, you can't attack with it. It doesn't give the forward haste, but
Right.
it won't have haste on your side either. If it even if it's been out for a turn on your opponent's side, you can't use whatever active ability that it has once you activate it.
Correct, yeah, because you're just pulling it. It's going to change sides, so it's going to like kind of
Yep.
regain summoning sickness, as it were.
Yep.
Um,
But if you take their wool, you can use that ability. If you
Yeah.
take their Alua, you can swing with it. If you take their Adele, you can swing with it.
yeah, and then if you have any ways to obviously give it haste, you can do that too. You can take it and then fanfare it.
Or Kefka.
Yeah, I mean, for me, what I'm thinking about is ways to give this guy haste and make it like an instant speed steal,
Hmm.
and then do some kind of tricky stuff. It'll get a little expensive, I think, but
Hmm.
I just
It's
want.
cheaper than Shuyin, and that's what matters.
Yeah, it is still cheaper than shooting by doing that, and it's not limited to. I can take whatever I want. It's not
Hmm.
the power level isn't what matters.
Correct, and I
So-
like that. I like that a lot.
But yeah, so that's all the ones from the magazine. Then we had one card of the week that was shown.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Cloud. Go ahead and go over that guy.
Yeah, so he's the starter Cloud. He's Earth now. He's in
Mhm.
3 CP 7K. When he enters the field, choose one forward. If you control 4 or more Category 7 forwards, break it. And whenever a Category 7 forward you control blocks, it gains plus 1,000 power until end of turn.
I think the first ability is definitely a superstar in title, but I think the second ability is where he's going to shine in some sort of FF7 category deck and standard, which I think could be very real. Like, being able to have, like, if you got Vincent Yuffie out and you play this guy, now my Vincent's blocking as a 10K.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good. I think the card's good. I
Yeah.
think he's going to do a lot more.
Yeah, I agree. I think that in title he's going to be nutty. And I think the title deck's going to change a pretty fair amount. I think it's going to go away from being like just a Vincent deck, which is a good thing, I think. It'll be more fun to play, I think. It's kind of gotten stale on me a little bit. And then I do think, yeah, the second ability is what's going to make him playable in Standard if a 7 deck is actually good, that has Earth in it, which it seems like that's what they're pushing. If we can somehow get a Barrett that's really good and Opus 4 Jesse becomes good and this thing becomes a 2 CP that does this, I think that's enough. Like, I think that's going to be more than enough.
Yeah, him being a 2 CP 7K is not terrible.
Yeah, and then everything's an AK when it blocks. Yeah, like you said with Vincent and Yuffie too in that deck, that's going to be pretty good. Yeah, it just really depends on if a 7 deck is going to be good in Standard, and if it is, and it has Earth in it, I think this card is 100% in it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious to see what other starter cards that deck has, because obviously we know there's a Tifa in there.
Yeah, we know there's a Tifa. My guess is probably another Barrett. I doubt they're going to print another Vincent, but maybe. And then the win cards will probably be Sid, Yuffie, and Aerith. That's probably going to be your starter cards somewhere in there. Yeah.
So I'm excited to see. Spoiler season is hot and heavy, and there's a lot of there's a lot to talk about. I think they're off to the right track. I think Fire's got some decent cards. Earth, I think, once again is getting just ridiculously good forwards. Yeah, I can't wait to see where it goes, man. I'm really excited about this set. And I'm really excited what this Warrior of Darkness, this Warrior of Darkness tribe is going to be. I can't wait to see what they do.
Yeah, should be interesting. I mean, the Warrior of Light tribe right now, I think it's pretty solid.
Well, it's in a great place, absolute great place. And I can't think of a better segue than that, Adam. So there were a couple events yesterday. Do we want to start with the Keyblade Cup, or do we want to go ahead and just dive right into the Arizona Petite Cup that was yesterday?
Let's do the Arizona one because I feel like that'll be quicker.
Yeah, because unfortunately there wasn't a stream, which I heard they weren't really set up for it. But there was a lot of star power there. Oki was there, Brian Berkeley was there, our man Greg Cole was there. I know Kyle McGinty was there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know you've got the results posted. It seems like it was a good time. I looked at all the photos of just the people playing and prizes and raffles. Like, they really did it up, man. It looked like it was just a really, really fun experience.
Yeah, I have the top 4 names and then the top 2 decks. That's all I have.
Okay.
So the winner was Brian Kuhn. I think that's how you say his name. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. But he's an Arizona local.
Arizona local, right? Yeah.
And he was playing Mono Water Fasoya. He beat Brian Berkeley in finals, who was playing Earth Wind Urion J with Phoenix. And then 3rd and 4th were David Nunez and Rigo Davila, and I don't have their decks, but that was the top 4.
Yeah, but I know Oki was in top 8.
Yeah, I don't even know what Oki played. I'll probably ask him later, but yeah, he was also in top 8. I don't remember if anybody else was in top 8, but
I would have liked to have seen a stream, but I get it. If you're not set up for it, you're not set up for it. But it looks like just from the pictures, like I said, just from the pictures, that everybody had a fantastic time, and I'll bet it was a fantastic event too. But that wasn't the only event that was happening yesterday. We went down to our buddies at Game Theory. Went to go visit the Ranch Master and the gang. They had the Keyblade Cup yesterday. We had 31 players. Do we know what speaking of just to backtrack a tad? Do we know what the player count was at the Arizona Petite Cup?
I believe it was 31 or 32.
31 or 3, okay.
I mean, cool, I'm just going off. If that was the first sheet, there could have been another sheet of results. But if that one results sheet was it, I think it was like 31 or 32 people.
Okay, yeah. If someone who was at that event could chime in on the comments, let us know how many were there. Again, looked like it was a good event. But fast forward back to where we were at. Yeah, we had 31 players for the Keyblade event. It was Ryan Galloway was the one who put it all together. Big shout outs to him, man. He did a fantastic event. And a big shout out to Joe Gallo for judging the event again. I believe he was judging and playing. So
he was, yeah.
And I know Hunter helped him out with rules calls.
I helped him out a couple times too. Yeah, I helped him out a couple times too. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a fun event, man. We had 5 rounds of Swiss into a top 8 cut. Let's Adam, if you want to start, tell us how you did, man. What you played and how the event went for you.
I did pretty good. So I started out the day I lost a 3-1, yeah, and then I won. So I ended up 4-1 total. I lost to the guy that finished first, number 1 in Swiss, the one undefeated on Wind Water. Yep. I guess I should preface it. I was playing Mono Fire Warriors of Light, but I was playing an extremely fast version of the deck. I only had 14 backups in it. Yep. A lot of 2 CPs, Godot, pretty much a swarm deck. The idea was that I guess let me preface it again. This deck's not mine. It was Nick Chanel built the initial deck, and then I just kind of tweaked it and changed a few cards out. and it's been really good for me. You'd be surprised how good Neo Bahamut is in this deck. Actually, it's pretty insane. Just being able to top deck.
Remember, you can't do it during combat.
Yeah, you just can't do it during combat. That's the big thing. But yeah, I think my first match was probably my closest match against, I think his name was JR. He was playing Mono Water Fasoya. And yeah, it came down pretty down the wire. We were both on 6 damage, and he had kind of turned the corner, and I managed to was able to get a little bit bigger than his forwards and force him to block where he had to block. And then the next turn I was able to swing through for game. But that was probably the closest game of the day. Then yeah, I had to play Hunter, who was on Chocobos, which was kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, a lot of people on that cold turkey deck.
Yeah, and I feel like my deck dumpsters that deck like really bad.
Yeah, it does.
And
it's not even.
Yeah, I think Hunter felt that way too. Yeah, it was not good for him. I mean, like, I don't care about snow because I'm already turning sideways and I'm playing forwards faster than he is. So it really does. Like, his Shivas don't matter and his snow really doesn't matter. Jills were really important, but like, even when he would see a Jill off burst and play a Jill, I was still able to win. So yeah, it wasn't really good for him. And then I played Will also in Swiss and was able to beat him in Swiss. And then we both made top 8. I guess if you want to go through your Swiss first, and then we can talk about top 8.
Yeah. So I also went X1. I was undefeated going into the last round, and I lost to the same Wind Water player. I believe his name was Michael.
Yep.
And I was on the big doofy Earth, like the NorCal Special is what they call it, where it's just 30 forwards, 25 bursts, 6 backups. You're just playing for the turn 1 Vincent Yuffie, Yang Ursula, Vanille into whatever play. Only one of my game, other than the last one that I lost, and truth be told, man, I know the moment where I lost the game, I should have killed the Chelinka when she came into play. I had Ursula Special in hand ready to use, and I should have done it then before he could have used all of his tricks and killed my board. Instead, I got greedy and I pushed for game instead. But, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Other than that, my only other close game was in Swiss was against Ryan. Because unfortunately, the unfortunate part of that deck is Wool just shits on it. Wool is the one card in the game right now that just destroys that deck. And, there was 3 turns in a row where I had to move to discard just so I could hold up the removal to get him off the board. And really, I think he got me to 4 damage, and the turn where he messed up was there was one turn where he got greedy and didn't call no EX burst with Wool and got immediately punished for it, and then the game turned around in my favor right there. But I went X1. I was the number 2 seed going into Swiss, and I believe going into top 8. I believe I was the number 1. I was the number 2 seed. You were the number 3 seed, right?
Yeah, so I guess see if I remember so I'm looking at the Swiss results right now. So this is going into top 8. The number 1 seed was Michael Powell on Wind Water. Number 2 seed was you on Mono Earth, whatever you want to call it, bursty dudes.
Yeah, the salty spittoon is what we're calling.
Yeah, you called the deck what? Are You Okay, Buster Wolf? I think.
Yeah, I did. I did that for shout outs to Shane Duckworth and Miles Tyler.
Yeah, I know he's always wearing the Fatal Fury hat every time I see him. Which is, I always comment on it too.
Yes.
Yeah, then 3rd was me on Mono Fire, Warrior of Light. 4th was Evan Cerrone on Earth Wind, I believe.
Yeah, I believe he was on Earth Wind.
5th was Brendan on
Brendan Tawa, yeah. He was
Mono
on
Wind. I think he was on Mono Wind. 6th was Hunter on Ice Wind Chocobos. 7th was Will on Ice Earth, Flan, and with a pretty good amount of dark cards. And then 8th was Danny Scott, I believe, also on Mono Wind.
No, Danny Scott was on Mono Fire, Warrior of Light as well.
Oh, yeah. Okay, he had the slower version of the deck I was playing. That's right. Yep. Yeah. He was running K-Tuna. He had actually typical amounts of backups. He was running the regular Bahamas and stuff. Yeah. Which he talked to me a little bit after, I think, because he saw I was playing it too, and I told him mine was much different because he was obviously trying to play a slower game, and I'm playing a faster game and just getting my dudes really, really big. My guys get big and they're fast. So I feel like the version I played is the better version of the deck.
Sure. Yeah, the mid range you want to, I think, just allow, like, when you allow, like, the decks like the Wind Water and the Wind Earths just to
You just
set up,
lose.
you're
You just
in
lose.
trouble.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the problem. The whole idea is that the deck that I played is able to beat those decks before they can do the things they want to do and force them into uncomfortable situations at the beginning of the game to force them to play how they don't want to play.
And I'm glad you said that. That was a good, because that was going to follow up with that, because that's why I played the deck that I played, because I originally was going to play Wind Water. And that's the deck I'm on right now. That I think that's still the best deck in the game. And I was like, do I? And on like the night before, I was like, do I really want to sit there and potentially play Wind Water mirrors all day? Which there was a lot of Wind Water in the field, and I would have just beat my head against the wall having to do that all day. So I was like, I want to play a fast deck that is going to force these decks that require setup time to just play very uncomfortably. And it worked. It was just like turn 1 Vanille Yang Ursula, deal with it, or turn 1 Vincent Yuffie, deal with it. Like it was a lot of that. And next thing they know, they're on 5 or 6 damage, and they're just literally 1 cockatrice away from dying. And that's what happened in several rounds.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, if I saw a water card or a wind card come down turn 1, I knew that was like the signal to go. So I was definitely playing a forward that turn. 100%. Like I'd play if I could play like a backup and a forward, I would do that. Aegis Soul, obviously I'm doing that. And it worked out. Then I guess in top 8 I had to play Hunter again. Again, really bad for him. Like because at that point we got to look at everybody's deck lists, and so I could see like the removal lists.
It was cool they were doing that, mind you.
And the only real removal, was Chaos Walker, which is pretty typical. I mean, that's what the other version of the deck had as well. So literally I think both games in top 8, I just went turn 1 Godot, pass. And I know he can't really do anything about that.
It's true, unless he wants to commit to playing a Chaos Walker like right there on the spot.
Well, even the second game, I played a Godot and held a Godot in hand. So
there it is.
Yeah,
there it is. But yeah, and then you had to play against William. I guess it kind of goes hand in hand. But so I had to play William again in top 8. Because I beat him in Swiss in round 4, and it wasn't even fair. Like it wasn't even close. It was a blowout. Well, and then he got to look at my deck list, and he was like, okay. And William's a really smart player. Like him and Hunter are like practically the same guy when it comes to how they play. And he was like, okay, I need to get looking at my deck list, because while we were waiting on the deck list, I was like, here, do you want to just look at my? He's like, here, give me your deck, I'll give you mine. I was like, that's fine, because he didn't know what half the cards did anyway.
Yeah.
So I was like, go ahead, read it. I'm going to go grab a snack, whatever. Take your time. Because he still had to, pile shuffle his deck up. So he's like, okay, I have to get Wool out. So game 1, he was able to, stabilize and get Wool out. I lost game 1 clean. Game 2 was the opposite. It was just a dumpster. I was just Yang Ursula, bodies, holding up removal. There was just nothing he could do. And then game 3 was the same thing. Once he got a Wool and a Dottaluma going, and I was like, well, I think that's the thing about the deck I was playing. When it's almost like Turbo in a sense, when you're about to lose.
Oh yeah, I mean my deck was the same too. The signs were there. Once the game hit a certain point, you were just like, I'm probably never getting over this. The only nice thing about my deck is if I have Selfie out with 2 other established backups, I can usually get over most stuff. So I can usually, if I can put him to enough damage early, I can still swing once a turn and force him to make really bad blocks.
Right. No, absolutely. But yeah. So then Will beat me in top 8. Then you had to play against him in top 4.
Yeah, and again it was really close. I smashed him pretty. Actually, game 1 almost went to deck out, which is probably the longest game I played on that deck. It was pretty crazy, and I managed to win just because he was forced to sit on 1 or 2 backups the whole game and trying to constantly respond to me playing forwards because I put him to 5 so early. And then eventually, yeah, I had Selfie out. I had 5 backups that game. I saw all 3 samurais. And yeah, I was just selfing every turn and swinging over his stuff, just swinging with 10Ks and stuff. And it didn't matter that he had Cam and Dottaluma. And then the second game, he adapted pretty well. I felt like I was in control a lot of that game, and then yeah, it just hit a point where I knew I was dead. Celis was a pretty big problem, being able to slow me down, and then just the 4K plus Wool sometimes was enough to kill my smaller fours before they get to attack the next turn. So he was able to win that one, and then the third game I was in control pretty heavily, and we go into a turn where I had just swung out. And he was on 5 or 6. I want to say it was 5. and he had one card in hand, one backup, and Celis on board. That was it. And so I'm like, okay, he can't play Shantoto here, and all my dudes are bigger than Celis. And then he draws his 2 cards, and he goes, oh, that's pretty good. And he plays Zalera. This is probably the best Zalera I think I've ever seen. So I was on. It was 5 damage, I think, to 1. He has an active Celis. I have a Dole 2, a Dole 3, and a Dole 2.
That's a pretty good. That's a pretty good Zalera.
Yep. So I just put all my stuff in the break zone, and at that point, I kind of figured I had lost. I tried to play a Fury on the next turn. I had my one backup was a Ninja, so I'm hoping okay, maybe if I can get through the Celis, get a point of damage, and I can finish the game with Ninja. And then he was just able to keep dropping forwards, and I couldn't get back over because I didn't have the backups I needed established. And then I drew dead a couple turns, and once I drew dead one turn, he kind of figured that I probably had to have a summon in hand, so I was holding a Phoenix, and then Celis Runic the Phoenix, and that was it. That game was over after that.
Yep. And then I believe on the other side, top 4 was
it was the Wind Earth and the Mono.
Windwater.
Yeah, Windwater. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I know Michael lost in top 4, and I know, and then they just went. I believe they went ahead and just split.
They split. Yeah, Will got the Keyblade, and I think Evan, the Wind Earth player, took the dearly beloved musical sheet, which was pretty cool. I kind of wanted that.
Yeah.
And then I think they just split the packs.
Yeah, it was because I think it was a box, the Keyblade, and the dearly beloved for first place.
Yeah. No, second place got the dearly beloved. It was a Keyblade, the box for first, dearly beloved, and then half a box for second.
Okay.
Something like that.
So yeah, they both made out like bandits. It sounds like here.
Yeah. It was a great tournament.
Yeah, overall, man, it was an absolutely fantastic event. Now I know I was talking to Ryan and Joe that they want to do what they're doing. They want to have a monthly event like that, and they want to kind of collaborate with us, so they make sure their tournaments on one side of the month and ours isn't. You know what I mean? That way we don't step on each other's toes, and maybe we can even collab on events coming up here soon.
Yeah, I know Ryan asked me maybe we could stream once every couple months down there.
Yeah,
and I told him if you let me know, we can get space. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Yeah. So those guys do great work down there, man. Game Theory is always a fantastic experience. They really put together a fantastic event. And big shout out to those guys again. Can't say enough good. And, it was a good field, good players, just a good time all across the board, man.
Yeah,
so,
31 people. That was bigger than any LQ I think we had there.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was a big event there. And the thing is, we're just getting started over here because, on the 23rd we have our Petite Cup at Battlegrounds, which I think we're up to 67 people at this point.
67 as of right now, pre-reg.
See, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think we'll hit 70 or 80 before it's all said and done, because I'm sure we'll get some last minute foot traffic as well. So I think we're in a good spot, man. We're in a real good spot, and the season is underway, and it's really exciting to watch. Other than that, I think that's all the news we have. We spent a lot of time on news because there was a lot to talk about. But congrats to the winner of the Arizona Petite Cup. Maybe we'll see you in Kansas. We'll see what happens. And, congrats to William and Evan, where Evan was the guy who split with William.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, congrats to those guys for, finishing up the Keyblade Cup. Great events all weekend long. Just another great weekend for the community. But what we want to talk about today, kind of in our main topic, was kind of what we like to call just one of our car ride conversations. And we talked about it I don't know if we talked about it on the cast or before we started the cast last week, or maybe even right after. The card pool is increasing. We were kind of wondering if at some point, maybe not now, maybe not till Opus 10, Opus 11, at what point does this game look at a rotation or maybe some sort of legitimate BNR list, or some sort of multiple formats, a legacy modern standard kind of thing. And the only reason we bring this up, and it's not because there's no frustration. This is just, we're literally just having a conversation. So there's nothing that's fueling this, if that makes any sense. Because we did kind of talk about it back in the day when Gesper and Thaumaturge were still a thing. But with more cards coming out, what gives you the incentive to want to play these newer cards when you have cards like Y'shtola around? And also, Y'shtola is another one that we bring up too, because these power cards from more so Opus 5, they become kind of prohibitive as to what you can print moving forward. So, Adam, I'll let you kind of say your thoughts on that, because you have more of an organized thought on this, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, I want to preface this first off by saying I don't think anything should be banned.
Correct.
It's not what I'm saying at all. But I do think that there are cards that, as we print more cards, they're just never going to go away.
Yep.
And I don't know if that's a good thing or not. And then they also like prohibit other archetypes, and they prohibit you from even trying anything else inside the archetype that they're in. And yeah, like you brought up Y'shtola. Y'shtola is like a card that just shuts down a lot of strategies. More so control strategies, really. But she also benefits in control decks. So it's like, the thing is, like, she's in every deck that's really good right now, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
If you look at what most people assume the top 3 is, she's in all 3 decks.
Yep. And at usually 2 to 3 copies.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is because you can't respond to forwards entering the field in this game, unless they put something on the stack, and even then they're already on the field, so it doesn't really matter. So Y'shtola is just like a card where your opponent, or like I could have an idea of what I want to do next turn, and I feel like it's pretty good, and then they play Y'shtola, I can't respond, and now my entire plan has to change on the fly. Yeah, because she shuts down any auto ability, which really the big one is Shantotto. So like if they've gone wide and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna get him next turn, and then they just drop that, you're just like, oh, okay, cool, now I can't do anything. I mean, now I can spend 7 CP to kill a Y'shtola instead of removing everything from game. And then, yeah, like the big summons and stuff, like once she hits the table, it just nullifies those. The fact that she can do it like whenever she wants, like she can kind of pick and choose, so she can wait until like the critical moment in the turn that you're trying to do to cancel maybe the Valifor or the Diabolus that would have reactivated everything. I mean, obviously you're not going to do that. A good player is going to see that she's already on the board and, react accordingly.
Or they'll beat you with something.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, she forces you to play differently. It's just, it hurts other archetypes that aren't the top tiers too, and probably even worse than it hurts them. So she just shuts off a lot of things. And I guess what I'm saying is like you're just never not gonna see her, right? Like there's no reason not to play her if you're playing green cards, and if that's the case, that's always gonna take up slots until the game goes away, right? Until we're not playing this game anymore, which I hope is a long time.
Yeah. And to more to that point, again, not that this is like a bash Y'shtola day, because I love the card. I think it's a fantastic card.
I hate the card, but I understand why she's good.
Right. Like what was there was a post that somebody made in one of the groups like, hey, I don't have the Y'shtolas and I'm playing this deck. What can I replace her with? You can't. Yeah. Like the simple answer to that is there's no replacement for Y'shtola in a deck with green cards.
Yeah, it was just like Wool. People try to replace Wool. And I mean, I guess there's a little bit more like kind of budget replacements for Wool, but it's still Wool. You can't replace it. And actually, I think the funny thing is, I think Wool, compared to these other cards that we're probably talking about, is a bit tame, even though he does change mechanics too. And maybe the way to go about it, instead of like eventually banning these, because if we're never going to rotate, we're just going to have to come to terms that there's going to be a ban list, and it's going to increase.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen.
Granted, yesterday I would have taken Y'shtola over Wool 12 times out of 10.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying that Wool doesn't come into play a lot. Like, it's just, most of the time Y'shtola is shutting down more strategies than Wool is.
No, correct.
Yeah, and maybe, like, limiting a card might be good instead of banning. Like, you can only play one of it in your deck. I still feel like a one of Y'shtola is still really, really good. But that would hurt other cards like Dodaluma, right? Like Dodaluma basically takes up, at least 6 slots in your Wind Earth deck. I mean, I think Wind Earth could still thrive without him, but he's definitely a big deal. I think it would go more toward like the Yuri Chelinka stuff if Dodaluma was like limited to 1. But yeah, I mean, I guess he's another card that kind of just drives an arc like that kind of archetype, makes a bunch of other cards good, which maybe is a good thing. But it's really frustrating when you get locked out of a game and you can't really answer what they're trying to do.
Right, and to kind of go back to the point of, as new cards get printed, you're either going to have to play these cards that are they just can't compete, or you're going to have another Opus 5 situation where the power creep becomes so real that you just kind of hate fuck the cards out of the game themselves.
Yeah,
and you don't want to do that either.
I think they've done a good job as far as like true power creep is concerned, because like no two cards are really the same.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. They're just different. Like, Bahamut's always the great example there. They all kind of do the same thing, but they're different enough to make you not, like one's not making the other one obsolete.
But I also think that that's also kind of what's putting Fire in a bad place, because like
Sure.
the fact that they don't want to print things that are just flat out better than what we have just gets us things that are like kind of different from what we have, which is still not good, So
yeah, it gets us another Ifrit that's doing nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is like, if they keep printing these Earth and Wind cards, like why are we gonna play those a lot of those cards anyways? Because I mean we're gonna get like 20 cards in a set, and like, but we're just gonna still keep seeing Y'shtola and Dataluma. Is that gonna be healthy for the game at a certain point? Right now, I think it's fine. Like, I'm just looking like way forward. Like, are we gonna be? My worry is like, are we gonna be on like Opus 15 or 16 or whatever, and still seeing Wind Earth with like 3 new cards?
Exactly, and then that's what I want to avoid, because also what's going to happen. And when I say that hurts the game, unless you start talking reprints, I don't know what the deal is, but Opus 5 is still extremely hard to come by. And if these Y'shtolas, these Wolves, these Diaboluses, these Aluas, like these power cards from 5 continue to be cornerstones and full playset worthy cards and decks, and I feel like the further away we get from Opus 5, the harder it's going to be to get these cards without reprints. Does that and because they are so powerful and they're still so important to all these decks, that does create a problem, because now nobody can get these cards. So people are like, well, I can't play this deck then. Well, I guess I'm just not going to play.
So to be fair, just to counterpoint it, I'm not saying you're not right, but like it's still cheaper than a Magic deck.
Oh, sure. Sure.
Even these like, if you want to call them like legacy Final Fantasy decks, right? Like they have all the cards from all the Opuses and mostly Opus 5. I mean, it's it's still a lot cheaper than a Magic deck.
A playset of Y'shtolas is cheaper than one Scalding Tarn by a mile. Yeah. By a mile.
And then I just want to like I know like people have been worried that like the price of decks is going up, right? Which is true to an extent depending on the deck you're playing. But the deck I played yesterday that I finished 4th with, what the non-foil like low of that deck is on FFTCG?
That's what, like $8 or something like that?
$30.
Oof.
$30 for that deck non-foil.
Yep. Because I don't think you had any. There weren't any. You had one big Phoenix in the deck. I think that was the only legendary in the deck, right?
I had one legend in the entire deck. Yeah.
Yep.
Everything else was either starter, rare, common, or heroic.
Yep.
Yeah.
And no big dollar heroics either. I think like Soul.
No. I mean Soul
and Light Wool.
Soul, Light Wool, Luneth, Phoenix.
Yeah. They're all like $1, if that.
So.
Yeah. So I agree with that, and I think, and I don't want to sit there and say that we have to rotate these cards out. I think also by having a card pool this big, it does promote innovation.
Yeah, yeah. I think that if they can somehow continue to, instead of like adding cards to previous archetypes, which I think they still do kind of do, but they seem to be kind of careful about it, which is a good thing. But they have to constantly push new archetypes like all the time, which is gonna eventually be extremely hard. Like, is there ever gonna be an Earth Wind build if you don't limit Dataluma or ban or whatever? Is there ever gonna be an Earth Wind build that's optimal that doesn't run that card?
Correct, and I think I guess that's what I was getting at there. If I can't get my hands on these cards, or they don't rotate, it doesn't matter if we're at Opus 15. Why would I play these colors without these cards?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And why that's a big deal is, you want people to invest in these new cards and in these new sets. But if we're to a point where these decks are so established, why do I need to buy sealed product when I can just be like, oh, I'm going to proxy 3 copies of that, see how it plays, then I'll just buy singles, and then that's all I'm going to buy.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to be like a dedicated Wind Earth player, because if they don't ever change anything, that deck's always going to be at least good. Like,
That's what I'm saying.
I just don't see how it would ever be completely invalidated. I just don't see it. So like, you could literally, if you're the type of player that's like, and then maybe this is a good thing. Maybe counter argument, like the fact that a player can just have this one deck, and then when a new set comes out, instead of having to spend $200 to get all the cards or $300 or whatever,
absolutely.
he just buys the 6 rares or the 3 legendaries that he needs for his deck, and he pops them in, and he's good to go.
Yep. So and I agree with that. I think there are both sides to the coin here. That's why I'm saying I think the game is fantastic where it's at. But I do think, for the health and the longevity of the game, we do have to think towards the future and things like this. And I think the bigger the card pool gets, the harder it's going to be to really entice people to play these newer cards. And that's what I worry about.
It's the same for me. I'm more worried about like the tournament meta than anything else, really. Like, yeah. I understand for cost or whatever, like if you're a person that's already been in, you already have your deck, and all you gotta do is add 3 commons in or whatever, then you're saving a lot of money because you don't have to worry about your cards rotating. So but also that hurts a new player too, like the counter to that, because a new player, if they want to get in, and you're like, oh well, if you want to play this deck, you gotta go get some Opus 5, dude. Like, that's
probably. Exactly. And I think that's part of the problem. Unless Opus 9 or Opus 10 becomes this just incredibly, set very much like Opus 5 where all the legends are super powerful.
Do we really want that though? I don't know if we want that.
I don't think we do. I think Opus 5 was enough.
Yeah. I think Opus 5 is the big problem set, to be honest. Like for the power level of where certain cards are.
Yeah, I don't think you can find a competitive deck anywhere that doesn't run one of the cards from Opus 5. When I say one of the cards, I mean one of the legendaries or a Lua.
I will say, like, you could take the Phoenix out of the deck that I played yesterday and be perfectly fine. But it does have Opus 5 cards in there. They're just not legends.
Right. So yeah, like, because you're running Luneth and Ingus. You're running Luneth. He's an Opus 5 heroic. So,
Godot, Opus 5. Yep. Wall, Opus 5. Warrior, Opus 5.
Yep.
Yeah. So. And
I'm not saying Opus 5 is a set that shouldn't exist, but it definitely warped the game. And what I worry about is those cards are going to become decks are going to still be so reliant on those cards. 5 sets down the line, and they're already hard to get. At what point do you start looking at a rotation or something or BNR list? And the question is, let's kind of speculate here for just a couple more minutes before we wrap this up. What do decks look like if, say, you rotate the first 3 sets out of the say we're at Opus 10. The cards look great. Archetypes are still shining. What do you think happens if they take like the first 2-3 sets and rotate those out?
I think it would be bad to rotate the first 3. I don't think it changes enough. I think the decks that are already good will still be really good. The only thing that really gets hurt, I guess there's a few things that really get hurt if you do that. So Yuna's gone, Valifor's gone, Shantoto's gone.
All the anthems are gone.
Any anthem is gone. Alcid is gone. Genesis is gone. And then like other like really good backups, like Devout's gone.
Yep. Emperor's gone.
Yeah. So I mean, it would change some stuff for sure, but I don't know if it would change stuff for the better because Opus 5 is still there. I think Mono Win might just be absurd if you did that.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that at all. But they do lose Archer, which is huge.
You lose Archer. But, like, you still get to keep Yuri, Chelinka, that entire package. You still get to keep Y'shtola. You still have Diabolos. You do lose Chaos Walker. You lose the Thoughtseize Zidane, but you still have Opus 6 Zidane.
Right.
I mean, you don't... I mean, they lose some things, but, like, not a whole lot. I'm trying to think. The deck I played yesterday, let's see what they would lose. They'll lose Ephemeral Phantom, and it's... Lebro, Selfie, and then I played Sage yesterday. That's it. But
you lose the Little Phoenix as well.
Oh yeah, Little Phoenix is Opus 3. Yeah, which is a big deal actually. I would actually be a little upset if that card rotated out because I think that card's in a good place right now. But I don't think banning just the first 3 Opuses would be good, in my opinion. I think it has to include Opus 5 if you're gonna really want to like shake things up. It has to include Opus 5 in a way, but I don't think they're gonna rotate anyways. I don't think rotation's even in their plan. I think Kageyama said that a few times, anyways.
Yep. Which I think is fine because I want to play with all the cards that I have access to.
Sure, yeah. But I do think that at some point more cards will get banned, and it might not be that they're banned because they're so inherently broken. They might just be banned because the meta needs to change. You know?
Yeah. That's 100%, and I think that's. I'm glad you said that because that's a good reason to kind of start a BNR list.
Yeah, even if you
stale.
Yeah, even if you don't like the idea of like a rotation or banning cards or whatever, and I'm not a huge fan of it, but like if you've ever played a game that has a rotation or that moves cards to like ban or Hall of Fame or whatever you want to call it, that when they do those things, if they do it the right way, the game feels so refreshing after that, and it's a really, really good thing. And I just don't want to get to the point where, like, yeah, I like playing with this big card pool. I like building decks. You have a lot of freedom with what you want to do. A lot of stuff's good, and even the top tier stuff is beatable. It's really good, but it's beatable. I don't want to get to the point where it's going to get stale. And I do think there's got to be a wall, a wall like WALL, somewhere that we're going to hit. The game is going to be stale unless something changes, and it might not be because something's broken. It's going to just be because you're seeing the same stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, or they're going to print a card or two in the next couple sets that's just going to make Wool, Y'shtola, Alua, like they're already powerhouse cards.
Yeah.
But now it's just going to make it like just such an unfair dominant archetype, or over the course of a few archetypes, that's all you're going to see if you walk into it. If you walk into a competitive event, 80% of the floor is going to be one of these three decks. Now, some say having 3 decks like that is pretty healthy. But what if it happens in the next season and then the season after that? But it's the same 3 archetypes. That's what we're saying.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only worry. Like I said, I'm happy with where the game is right now.
Yeah, I am too. I think it's in a very good spot. I think it is because I think you can play one of the big 3. And the thing is, the top decks are not easy to play.
No, they're extremely hard.
There is that learning curve there, but also too the fact that you can play a mono fire deck, you can play a mono earth deck and go to a tournament and be successful with it, or you can still be on mono water for Sodia and have success at a tournament. So I mean, like there's while there is a clear cut pecking order, it doesn't mean that it's always gonna win.
Yep.
But I think it's a conversation that we can have multiple times over the course of some podcasts as the game changes, and you guys let us know what you think. Again, like we said, we're not calling for anything. We think the game's in a really good spot right now, but you got to start thinking towards the future and the way some cards interact with each other and how they have become staples in decks, and they're not going. Y'shtola is not going anywhere anytime soon. And Diabolos not going anywhere anytime soon. Wool not going anywhere. Alua not going anywhere. Cloud of Darkness not going anywhere. Like these are cards that are just they're here to stay as long as they're allowed to be in the capacity that they're in. So you guys let us know what you think in the comments. On the YouTube channel, on the SoundCloud, wherever you listen to us. Post up in the comments. Let us know what you think. If you think a rotation would be healthy. If you think a BNR list over time to kind of keep things fresh. Now, keep in mind, too, I also want to say this. Just because a card is banned doesn't mean it's banned forever. So, like, if they put Diabolos on the ban list, they'll see how the game goes for a year. Oh, you know what? It's not in a good place. It just killed this archetype way too much, or it made it, bring it back. Just because something's been banned or restricted doesn't mean it's not going to be that way forever. Like, we could get to a point where Gesper and Thaumaturge come back, or I could easily see Thaumaturge coming back before Gesper, but it could easily happen.
Yeah.
So, but otherwise, man, that's all I got today. I gotta unfortunately go to work, but it is also Super Bowl Sunday, so I'm real excited about that. We're gonna get to watch Tom Brady do Tom Brady things again today. How does that grab you?
Hopefully not.
Yeah, correct. Correct. Indeed. But we'll see you guys next week. I will be doing nothing next week. I don't think there's any events happening that I know of.
Just locals. Oh, the Fan Fest is next week, but we're not going to be there.
Yeah, there's what's next week? I'm sorry.
The Fan Fest, right?
Fan Fest is next week. Holy shit! Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Fan Fest is next week. I know Steven, Lord Byron, and Muhammad are going to that, so I can't wait to kind of pick their brain and see what they thought of that.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to have them on.
Do what?
Maybe we'll have them on next week.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea because I would like to hear about how the Fan Fest was and how because this will be the first one for the trading card game, so I can't wait to see how the groundwork is laid for it. And then I know the week after that I'm going to New York for their Petite Cup, so that'll be fun. Obviously, if the weather is still frozen over and shit, I might just bite the bullet on the $25 and stay home where it's warm. But I'd like to go. I'm 99.99 repeating, of course, going. So, but that's all I've got. So we're gonna go ahead and sign off. Adam, any parting thoughts?
I got nothing. Just pre-reg for the Petite Cup.
Yes,
if you're coming.
If you're gonna be in the area, please. We got room for you. We got places you can stay. Holla at your boy.
Yeah,
and
it's gonna be a good one, I think. So.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be a great one. So many prizes, so much fun. It's like the Bozo Super Sunday show, but way better.
Oh man, I want to play the game where you throw the stuff in the buckets.
Oh, the grand prize game?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a crisp $100 bill at the end, but in this case, there's a crisp PlayStation 4 in the end.
Seems good.
It seems real good. But that's all I got. We're gonna sign off on that.
All right. See you later.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening once again to the RVA Returners podcast. If you like this content and you want to hear more, check us out on YouTube at RVA Returners, and make sure you follow us on SoundCloud and check us out on Google Play and iTunes.